Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Release Valve and Mental Warfare. I am your host of the Release Valve, Sean Hanlon, and I am joined by my right hand, Kyle Spain of Mental Warfare. Welcome back. What is good in your hood, sir?
Man, can't complain, can't complain. Just continuing to build, right? Self-development. Man, the distractions are an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing, and I'm tired of saying it. But it's cliche. It's a part of life. That's why I keep God close. Just continuing to build that mental and trying to navigate, trying to be more aware of my emotions, of my feelings, and what's causing those emotions and those feelings, and then trying to dissect it and make sure that I am doing the best that I can to manipulate that process and to turn negatives into a positive.
I like that.
Yep. And so that's actively what I'm doing, baby steps, right? We've talked about this before. And basically, we're talking about from A to Z, right? Trying to be at Z before going through all the rest of the letters, right? It's a patient thing. It's a patient thing. But I think for me, understanding that understanding where my mood goes and what affects my mood is one, not working on my purpose. I feel like that throws me off. And then two, if I'm not prepared to work on my focus, that throws me off. Obviously, if I'm not working on my focus, if I'm not prepared to work on my focus, then I'm not working on my focus. And if I'm not working on my focus, I'm not in the best mood. Right. So, and I feel like that's, where we get our most of our happiness from, that dope rush is completing tasks, accomplishing our goals, and working towards the things that make us feel good about what we're doing, especially about what we're doing in our life. But how about you, my man? How about you?
Man, you're so right with the distractions, and it's almost, you know, living in New England, it seems like every winter, everybody responds horribly to what's going on around them. Whether it's snow or rain or cold or whatever. And I always say it every year, like, man, people act like they didn't grow up here or they're not from here, like they should know what to expect or at least be prepared for it.
Right.
I find myself now saying that about myself, about the things that come up in my life, the daily distractions, issues with work or, whatever the case is. It's like, man, I should know by now that things are going to come up and that I should be better prepared, and more aware of said things, right? It's as if I wake up every day with a certain expectation of how the day's going to go, and
Listen,
that day never has any issues or problems. And then as soon as something comes up, I'm like, hey, whoa, 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 what the heck, man? That wasn't part of the plan. And it's like,
man,
who do I think I am sitting there thinking that nothing's going to come up ever, and getting all
yo,
bent out of shape as if I had no idea that anything could come up.
I absolutely love that you bring that up. And I think that's probably like 99% of the world. Man, we've talked about this before. And it's like we're expecting our day to go perfect, or we're expecting our day for nothing to go wrong.
Right.
And what's crazy is it never goes according to plan. And then not only that, it's like when it does go right, when things go smoothly, we take notice. It's
We're
like,
like,
man,
wow.
wow, right? But then we get upset when things go wrong. So it's like we got to pick a side. It's like things rarely go according to plan, and we're upset because things go wrong in our life.
What's the
It's
plan?
like,
What was I expecting? I have
right.
no idea, but it like, I don't know. So yeah, I got to get better with that, man. That's my focus now. Is, we say it all the time, and so now I have this feeling of almost being like a hypocrite. I feel like, a hypocrite saying these type of things, but then, still allowing them to derail me when they come up, and so that's one thing that I want to clarify with everybody that's following, listening along. Is when Kyle and I talk about these type of things, or when we're on here with anybody, really, there's no real premeditated thought process going into it, for better or worse. That's just how we approach it. And so with a lot of things, not everything, but with a lot of things, we're just thinking of it as we're having these conversations, and then we're saying it as we're thinking of it. So it's not necessarily, we're not trying to preach about things that we are saying that we're the best at, or that we never make any mistakes at, or I think even Vaca said it when our guest Vaca, when he was on here, was like, I sound like I'm like dad of the year type of thing, husband of the year, but I'm working these things out, and coming up with these thought processes as we have these conversations. And
on
so
the go.
That's why we say it's so important to have more of these type of conversations, and to have them as often as you can, to keep that thought process going and at the forefront of your mind. So that way, like we said, you can have those type of actions or reactions sooner, as opposed to being removed from it and then thinking about how you should have handled it or wanted to handle it, and going that route. So again, that's my primary focus right now, is working on lowering my expectations, or removing my expectations of the day as I want it to go, or whatever, and just seizing, as they say, seizing the day as it comes to me. And with that, I think, is having the mindset of, always have an eye open for opportunity. Look for the opportunity in the things that arise, whether it's good or bad. Look for the opportunity to, like you said, make it good no matter what, or to make it that much better, or to take away from it what you should take away from it no matter what, right?
Man, I got to give glory to God right now, and He's here, He's present. I usually get goosebumps when I know, but just for those people who are out there that are trying to inch their way towards a relationship with God, man, this is an example of how He works. You explaining, like, us coming on here and not necessarily having a pre-script, and just coming on here almost raw, almost every time, and then always coming up with something to talk about. That's God's way. And the things that you're talking about are things that I've already wanted to talk about. And we even talk about it before we started talking about it. Right? And so you talked about like lowering your expectations. And that was aside from what we were just talking about as far as expecting things to go bad. So let me rewind, and lowering your expectations. I totally wanted to talk about that. Expecting things to go wrong. Hold on, let me look for my wheels be spinning before I lose my train of thought.
Sorry, I went on a little tangent.
No, it's okay, because that's how it works. It's like, oh my goodness, he's saying everything that I wanted to talk about. I'll start with the lowering the expectations. I feel like we need to do that in our lives more so. Like, and I always think of the example of, like, so I think that we need to lower our expectations in general, right? Expect the unexpected. That's that Big Brother, the Big Brother saying. We need to go. I'm going back and forth. I'm ping ponging. So let me actually go back. So expecting the unexpected, right? I think that's really important, and having that on the forefront, like we talked about, and maybe having it in a journal or something to where we can to where it can be visual, right? Because I think that lowering our expectations is important. I think of the example of, like, the driving. Okay, when you're on a road trip, right? And I'm thinking about going from San Diego to the Bay, because I used to make that drive all the time, right?
Yep.
So you're driving to the Bay, right? Your expectations is 8 hours, right? 8 hours driving.
Yep.
Okay, you always pass LA on the way there. Because my mind is set on 8 hours, the drive to LA is short. Versus if I was driving to LA, it wouldn't seem as short as it was if I was driving to the Bay, because I already know it's going to be longer.
Right.
And so we need to lower our expectations as far as how much we can accomplish in a day, in a week, or in a month. Obviously, we need to be striving to accomplish those goals. But just like in fitness, like we lower our goals, we take baby steps. Why? Right? Because if we try and take leaps when we're not ready, we fall, we get discouraged, and then a lot of us quit, you know? And so if we can lower our expectations, then we're not let down when we don't achieve a certain goal. Or we lower our expectations and now we've achieved the goal that we set, and now we've got that dope rush, and
Right.
now we're
Feel
happy
good for
about
accomplishing
now,
something. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly, right? So the same thing with the day, like lowering our expectations of what to expect, having a couple of things that we need to get done, having that awareness of something might go wrong, and then navigating through that. Because our days are never perfect. They're never perfect. Now I didn't say that the way that I wanted to say it, but giving glory to God again, and just understanding how things work and how He puts things together is important. I remembered. Seeing those opportunities, you said, taking the opportunity and being aware of when things are negative and actually turn them into a positive, right? That happened to me yesterday. So I had a class that I was teaching, basketball organization, an AAU basketball, and it's about 20 kids, right? And these teenagers is crazy, being in where we're at now as far as parents and adults. When you look back on these kids now, and it's like, man, I used to be there mentally, their mindset, right? And it's crazy, which is another topic. But like, how do we get the youth to understand the mindset of someone who's more experienced, right? It does take experience for that kind of stuff to happen. But anyways, I'm at this class, and class is supposed to start at 6:30, right? No one shows up until like 6:40 at this point. And not only that, only 5 kids show up at this point. Supposed to start at 6:30. Like, me being, an elite basketball player and the knowledge that I have, I'm upset, right? Because it's a sign of disrespect. It's a show of disrespect for you to pull up late, stroll in while you're pulling in late too, right?
Right.
Just like not even rushing. And like only 5 of you show up, and it's like, what am I doing here? This is a waste of my time. Okay, mind you, that the goal is to be one of the best coaches and trainers that I can be. So instead of getting super upset about it, I saw it as an opportunity to kind of navigate and manipulate the situation to where I made it into a positive. And so I talked to the coaches and got the rundown of what was going on, and we actually came up with the plan to restructure the program to where we can do some different types of workouts that are going to be more conducive to basketball, which was in my heart to do. So that was an example of taking a negative, right? They didn't show up on time, or not even half of them showed up at all. I was upset, but then maybe it was God's way of putting me in a better position to help the team out, to help me out, to help the situation out, right? And it's exactly what you said, is taking those negatives, being aware of the negative, and like, okay, well, let me break this down. Like, how can I make good out of this, right? And it's not easy to do that. And I've been actively trying to do that. And this, like, yesterday was pretty much like the first time that I was aware of, like, man, like, I actually did that. I actually took that negative and turned it into something that was more productive, right? And I feel like that's, being very spiritual with the enemy and the distractions and how he tries to throw us off. If we can do that better, I think that we can allow ourselves to be more productive, switch our emotions off, or not switch our emotions off, but to manipulate our emotions, and making sure that those type of events don't derail us or affect us and impact us in a negative way. So lowering your expectations first, expecting the unexpected, but we have to be aware of those things too. There's so many things that go on in our lives that those key core concepts that are conducive to our success on a daily basis kind of goes out the window when things arise, right? So keeping those things close, like having a journal, which is I like to do, and making sure that I call them like success tips. Like, I have that in like one of my journals, and I try to go over those on a daily basis, just so I have that reminder. But I love what you said about that, lowering your expectations, because there's I think that we have too many high expectations in many different aspects of our life, right? Like relationships, like fitness goals, like money goals, business goals. Then it's across the board. So I loved how you said that.
Yeah, man. It's if nothing else, I feel like I'm setting myself up for failure. You know what I mean? I'm setting myself up to be let down, like you said. So, it's one of those like that saying, expect the best but prepare for the worst.
Yes.
That's what I need to do. I need to have a positive mindset that things can and will go good for me, and I can have a good day or a good event or a good meeting or a good talk or whatever it is, fill in the blank. But be prepared for when things don't go good, and it isn't a good work day or a good drive or a good conversation or whatever. Be prepared for it. Kind of have have go-to ways of dealing with things that are positive, and if things are still continuing to go negative, then work on coping mechanisms. Just keeping it as positive in the forefront of my brain as possible, you know what I mean? And not allowing myself to get too down about anything. Like I said, look for the opportunity to learn something, if nothing else. What can I take away from this situation, even if it's a process elimination of what not to take, or what did you learn that didn't work, type of thing. Process of elimination that way, type of thing. But just always looking, like I said, looking for the opportunity to turn things around and to learn something and grow from it, adopt it into my way of doing things or whatever it is, right? I'm being kind of
it's exactly no, but that's exactly what you said though, right? You said adopt it, and that's the thing, right? We all have our preset programming of how we think, how we feel, and in the normalcy of our lives. And I feel like that's why motivation, like working on like a high, meaning, like I'm juiced up, I'm ready to go, kind of like how we feel like after a dope rush, right? Kind of like how we feel after we get off here. It's like we're ready to attack the day, ready to attack the next event. Juices are flowing, we're high on energy. And that only lasts for so long. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not really something that is a habit of ours. And you were saying, what you said reminded me of what I was telling Amanda. It was something that a thought that I had came up with. And it was like, seek the energy that you desire. Yeah. Right? Because energy is we're affected by energy every day. What we see, what we watch, what we listen to. And I'm not sure if I brought this up in the last time we talked, but there was a street, I believe I said, there was this street of a church that was giving drive-through prayers, right? And there was like, I don't know, like maybe 100 meters long. And there's people on both sides of the street and they're holding up signs talking about God is great. God is here with you. And it was like a tunnel. It was like a tunnel of spirituality. Like it was a tunnel of energy. Like you went through this 100 yards and you just felt the energy from all the signs and and it was like, oh my goodness. And you just felt amazing. And I think that's another thing that we're not attentive to is our energy, what we're watching, saying, because what we're watching, what we're listening to, like, I don't think a lot of people are aware of this, but we put ourselves in those shoes, right? And that's what makes everything either relatable or not, things that we're interested in or not, because we often put our lives in those type of situations in comparison of like, oh, well, that kind of looks like my life, or that kind of reminds me of that situation, right?
Right.
You're watching a breakup show, right? What kind of energy are you going to receive from that, right? You know what I'm saying? What kind of thoughts is that going to stir up? You know what I mean? Like depending on what kind of relationship you're on, it might be a spouse or a significant other that cheated on you, and now we're watching a breakup show, and you're watching it together, right? And now
then you start looking at the other one all suspicious, like, and, things that didn't even happen in your situation because it's relatable or something. You can be like, oh, that must be going on over here too. Did you say this because they, man, it's It's tough. You're right, man. 100%. Absolutely, what you consume makes a difference, and we definitely talked about that before. It's not just the things that you physically put into your body, like food and alcohol and drink and whatever the case. It's the quality of those things, but it's also the quality of what you're consuming. Like you said, music, television, movies, conversations that you're having, people that you're surrounding yourself with. What is the energy that's being put out in those situations? Is it positive or is it negative? Is it causing you to have stressful reactions to it? Whether you realize it or not, if your
Right.
heart rate increases because you're getting worked up over something that you're seeing, that's you being under stress. Your body is reacting negatively, right? Because
To your emotions.
through
And
the
I said that
emotions,
before.
right?
Yeah. That's crazy. That reminded me of something that I thought about a while ago. And your thoughts are tied to your emotions, or your emotions are tied to thoughts or memories. When you think about something, it can make you it can make you mad, happy, or sad, angry, frustrated, or relieved, right? And then you can just get all of that from thoughts. That's why thoughts can make you sick, right?
Yeah.
And this is why, and our thoughts are energy, right? And especially if you're thinking about the physicality of it, the synapses and the electrical firing in our brains and stuff like that. It's all energy. And if we're not careful with what we're thinking about, that's why they say, right, be careful with what you say about other people, be careful what you say about yourself, more importantly,
Yeah.
because those things, they form.
Your body doesn't know that you're joking, if you're joking or not. Like,
Exactly.
your internal.
It doesn't discriminate.
Exactly. It does not discriminate. So, yeah, if you're just sitting there saying negative things, even though you're just joking, it's still negativity
It's still a
that's being
seed.
put out there.
It's still planting a seed.
Exactly.
And they say, I was listening to Myron Golden, and he said every thought, every action, every word is energy. It's a seed that's being planted into your garden for a harvest you are to reap in the future,
Ooh, I like that.
right? So if you're continuing to say negative things, you're growing that plant. You're planting that seed and you're watering that negative plant, right? And sooner or later you're going to start believing that, and it's going to become a part of your nature, versus having that positive mindset. And it's not easy. Come on, guys. Like, let's be real. This is why we're here. Sean said it earlier. Like, we're on here because we're not perfect. We're on here because we're all trying to figure it out. This is a daily thing of trying to navigate, of trying to battle off the enemy. This is why it's called mental warfare and the release, because it's every single day where we're trying to have a battle with with the thoughts that go on in our minds, the decisions that we're trying to make, the moves and steps that we're trying to take to better our lives, or at least try to. If we're not even trying to, then that's a different issue, right?
Right.
But everything is energy, and how we approach it and when we wake up in the morning is important. And I'm terrible at that.
100%.
I wake up in the morning and I'll lay up in the bed in the morning and be like, dang, what do I know I got stuff to do, but like sometimes the analysis puts me in a mode of paralysis, and I'm stuck.
Right.
Trying to, as they call it, analysis paralysis. But it goes with that quote. He said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Hey,
And so,
I like that.
yeah, and that's with everything, right? The to-do list for today, or for the tomorrow, the expectation planning, the expectation for things to go wrong, and that's what it is, right? Going back to the whole expectation thing, lowering our expectations so we're not let down when those obstacles and distractions do arise, and we're able to handle it better.
Right.
It's like, versus, think about it. It's like, yeah, I already knew it was coming. Versus like being unexpectedly surprised by something that happened, and now our emotions are high. Versus it was like, yeah, I already knew that was going to happen, right? And so keeping our emotions in check, or at least protecting our emotions, for what's to come, because it's inevitable. And I love that you said that, because I'm horrible at it. I'm horrible at it. But
I
you know,
am
these
too,
last couple
man.
of days, I've been waking up like F the devil. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's helped. I didn't do it this morning because it's not in my thought cycle yet. You know, it's not a part of my habit that I'm trying to build. And that's why
Right.
often like our emotions run high, and like when we're motivated by something, we're working. That's why we need to be more disciplined in our endeavors, because it's easy to do something where our emotions are high, but when we're in a funk and we're tired and we're sad, like even today, like I was supposed to get a workout and I didn't, you know, because I was tired. And you know, we're still all working on these things. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. We're not perfect. You know, this is where we're here. We're here to
Yeah.
connect. But actively having those thoughts, I need to keep this written down, is important for the habits that we need to change for ourselves, right? Because
Right.
that's where it starts, right? We can't point the finger. We're trying to get better, right? We have to take accountability for our actions, because no one's going to change our future for us. But it really starts with our mindset, and that's cliche too. But that's what we're actively trying to do, right?
But you know that's why it's cliche, is because that's where it
Yes.
starts, because you know that's why you have to say that, because again, nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody is just going to randomly insert themselves into your life and know exactly how to change everything for you and have it all be nice and smooth and perfect and seamless, and you don't even have to worry about, you know, the transition. You're just going to go from being unhappy to being happy now. There you go, you're welcome, have a good day. And then it's like, that's it. It's like, nah, it doesn't work that way. It starts with your mindset, the way you go about things. And you know, that's a thing about having bad habits. Like everything negative that we have going on in our life is a series of bad habits that we developed over the years, due to
Absolutely.
based from not paying attention to those type of things when we needed to at the time we needed to. And that's, that's par for the course with everybody, right? You know, nobody is able to 100% focus on the things that they're struggling with right then and there all the way and not have to worry about anything else. No, it's usually, you know, things that fall below the wayside and you don't get to deal with, and then you form those bad habits around that, and then while doing other things you just build all these negative bad habits over the years. So, you know, that's where I'm at right now, is trying to unbad habit myself in a lot of different areas, and that can get overwhelming at times. But you know that I got to keep going, man, because that's the only way it's going to change, is by changing that mindset towards it and working towards changing those bad habits and building newer, replacing them with good habits that help
Yeah.
me in other avenues, because it's all tied in together. You know, you may be focusing on one thing that you have a bad habit around, and say that's sleeping in. You know, I just can't get up in the morning type of thing. But that one bad habit affects, you know, has
It's
that
a
chain reaction in
domino
all
effect.
these
Yeah.
different areas that you don't realize. So,
Yes.
you
Speak to
know,
me. Yes.
you know what I mean? So it may seem like, you know, yeah, it may get overwhelming at times, but if you're able to kind of refocus it on, you know, what's the primary thing that I'm working on right now, and that's starting a better habit with, you know, my morning routine, or being prepared for the day, you know, in the day prior type of thing, the previous day. You know, like we talked about being getting ready for Monday on Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yes.
And so again, that goes hand in hand with how we started the episode, talking about being prepared for the bad things that are going to arise, or, you know, just being ahead of things that could go wrong. Because again, you know, I'm on the road all day, so I make my lunch for the day. I eat my lunch in the car and stuff while I'm traveling. So if I don't make my lunch and put it all together the night before, I'm scrambling to do that the next day. And that takes away from time of something else that I could have been doing at that time. I've really been trying to incorporate doing a light stretch and doing push-ups and squats first thing in the morning. That takes up right around that same amount of time, you know what I mean? So if I don't make my lunch the night before, I'm scrambling to do that the next day. There goes my morning routine. Then I'm sitting in the car, my back's not feeling too good because I didn't get a good stretch in. I finally get out of the car, my body wasn't warmed up, so I'm getting into my stores and doing my work, and I'm not feeling good. I think about how I didn't have that time that I wanted for the morning, and then it starts that negative thought process. What else is going to go wrong today? I didn't get to do this, and now I lifted that, and now my back hurts even more. Whatever the case is, I'm going on a little rambling tangent, but like you said, it's that snowball effect, and it all stems from
absolutely
these bad habits that we form, or at least not forming good habits based around something. It's not just replacing bad habits, but just forming new ones or better ones that will help you succeed at whatever it is that you're trying to do. I'm just using my morning routine as the example, but that's the start of my day. And there's a reason why, we talked about that book, Make Your Bed. There's a reason why, you have those micro wins, those little wins, but you should start your day off with those things and get the ball rolling in that way going throughout the day, right? And so then that way, so if you start off right here, this is your baseline. This is like a normal day. You didn't prepare or anything like that. And the day you may get up to here, and then something may bring it back down. You may get up to here, something may bring it back down. But if you prepared the night before, your baseline's here.
Man,
now your day is up here. It's that much better. It's just that much better.
That is so heavy. And sometimes there needs to be certain there's different ways to get to one destination, right? And some may not understand it one way, but it's like sometimes it needs to be heard a different way for it to sink in a little bit better. And that's 1,000% correct, especially based off of experience. Waking up in the morning, getting a little bit of a workout, not only sets the day off right, but now you've got more production. And first of all, you got the production, right? Especially with the workout, it creates that dopamine rush. So now we're feeling better. We got that flush. We got a little bit of release. We're feeling good about the workout, because that's always good after a workout. You always feel better after the workout, and it just sets up the production for the rest of the day. And even Amanda today, I haven't worked out the past couple of days, and she was like, "Oh, you're gonna stay and work out?" And I'm like, yeah, I just needed to get like a little 15-minute workout and just to get my body moving, because I've been feeling a little bit lazy, right? And so that's where that starts, like you said, like that baseline, right? Start in middle right here, and maybe you wake up tired, maybe you wake up lazy, maybe it was because you didn't prepare, or maybe you had a late night, or whatever the case was. Maybe you were unprepared mentally, right? And you didn't get up that morning, and then like that kind of almost, like you said, it snowballs. It will snowball. Dang, that's crazy. Dude, how you wake up in the morning basically almost sets the tone for the energy for the rest of the day. Like if you wake up in a bad mood, chances are you're going to be in a bad mood majority of the day, unless something crazy happens and now that switches. But usually it's harder to get out of bad mood than it is a good mood. You know what I mean? And that's definitely heavy. I wanted to go back and talk about mindset, and I feel like mindset, not entirely, but is some part of it a reflection of the heart, right? Because it's about what we believe in too, right? What do we believe in? Like, do we believe that it's somebody else that's the reason why we're not successful, or the reason why we're not fulfilling our purpose, or the reason why we're in this type of mood? Right. Is that something that you actually believe? Because at that point, then that's where trouble is, right? That's where the issue is. Like, what is it that you actually believe in? And I think that's heavy, because what's on your heart is what drives us, right? That's the motor. That's what leads us. That's what creates, that next step of what we need to be doing in our lives. And of course, we have that battle between the mind and the heart. And that's where, like, the battle comes in with the mind and the flesh, because it's not easy changing our habits because of what we're used to, what we want, because everything is not that easy, right?
Yeah, man.
We don't, so our bodies don't like hard work sometimes, right? And so it's like, well, I don't want to do that.
It doesn't like foreign hard work, because you can build muscle memory, or get into something that you're used to, and that's easy for you because you're used to it. You've done it so long, over time you've just built up that muscle memory, or that mental memory of this is nothing to me.
Yeah, I had something that I'm gonna go back on the to how waiting for somebody to come save us, and we had an episode in season 1 about be your hero, and how we have to be the
Yeah.
hero of our own story.
Right.
But I wanted to tackle this or look at this from a different angle, and I thought about how you can name any type of relationship, friendship, relationship, with the girlfriend, spouse, whatever the case is. Like when you guys are in a good mood, yeah, you guys are hitting it off, right? Like you're almost willing to do like anything or everything or some stuff, right, for them. Versus if you guys are at odds, you guys are mad at each other. Chances are they ask you to do something, you're not as willing or wanting to do it for them because you're angry at them, right? And that's typical. Where I'm going with this is this world is so surface level that all of us are in a bubble and blinded by everything that's going on the outside. Like we're all connected in this. What I'm saying is we're all going through something. We're all battling demons. We're all going through the warfare. Not all of us, most of us, 95% of the world. And not to say that we're in a bad mood, but because we're all going through something, we're not in that state mentally or position to be able to help others, right? So we're seeking help from the outside world to come save us, but they can't save us because they're busy trying to save themselves. We're all trying to save ourselves, so the help is not coming. We can only save ourselves, if that makes sense. I hope I said that good, said that proper. But like, it's not coming.
I think I know what you're saying.
It's not coming because everyone. I mean, as first, I mean, you talk about envy, you talk about jealous, you talk about people stepping on other people's toes, wanting to be where other people are at. None of us, a lot of us aren't happy with where we're at, purpose wise. And for that reason, no one's going to want to help us try and win anyway. No one wants to see us win. The enemy don't want to see us win because we're all children of God anyways, right? You know what I'm saying? So why not attack? Why not try and sabotage everyone's path? Why not put everyone in a bad mood? Do you know what I'm saying? Or try and sabotage the pathway so everyone can be happy. Because if we are all happy, we'd be more willing to help each other, right? we'd be more more willing to encourage each other, and that's the goal. That's what we're trying to do right now, right, on this podcast.
Man. Yeah.
Is to encourage everybody and to let everyone know that we're all created to be great in our own way. We're all a piece of the puzzle, of the greater, the grander, the greater picture, But like all of us are scraggled, like we're shattered. Everyone is trying to like. I mean, I guess it just starts with the confidence, right? The belief. And the capability of being great, right? Because I know in my heart that we're all destined. All of us are destined to be great. But that's the issue. That's the initial start of it, right? Why me, poor me, and that's something that we believe in our heart. And with that, we carry that energy into the next day, and we get stuck in that cycle. And so, again, we have to be a hero, of our own story. And I was actually talking to somebody about that too, tangent. His name is AJ. And I was in the parking lot talking to him.
Shout out to AJ.
Shout out to AJ. But we're in the parking lot. We're talking about God, right? And I brought up an analogy of the superhero movies. We can call it Marvel. And I'm like, why is it that in all the superhero movies, nobody has the same power? Why isn't that all of us have the same? Let's think about the Avengers, right? You got Hulk, you got Iron Man, you got who else we got? Oh my goodness, why am I drawing blanks right now? Anyways, all the Avengers, right?
Right. Thor,
yeah, Thor,
Panther,
Hulk, and
Captain
but
America.
they're all a superhero with different powers. Right? Mm-hmm. And that's what we are as humans, as brothers and sisters on this earth. We all have a superpower that God has gifted us, right? Like any other superhero movie, when you're young, you don't know that you don't have it. You have to learn how to harness it. You have to learn how to control it. You have to discover it, right? And so we all are a superhero on this earth to find our purpose, to find our power, so we can make the world a better place as that member of the puzzle, or as that piece of the puzzle. We all
And
come
to
together
to defeat
as
the enemy, right? 'Cause
absolutely,
that's what
as
it
an
took
Avenger.
to
That's
defeat
what it
the
is.
enemy.
It's
That's what it took, was all of them to come together with their own certain powers. And that's our favorite part of those movies too, right?
Right?
When they all use their powers to work together and stuff, you know? You have one superhero throws the other superhero and they bounce off of this other one who throws
Right.
the beam on this one. Like, they all do the crazy things.
And
And
they
we're
get-
sitting there like, wow, that's crazy. I can't believe that. That was so cool watching them work together as a team. Although we're not saying it like that. We're just saying, wow, that was so crazy. The action was so cool.
Right.
But if you break it down, what was cool about it? It was that teamwork. It was
Right.
the fact that they were all different. They all struggled at some point,
Right.
to come together. It wasn't this nice, easy fit.
Exactly.
They didn't know what part of the, what part they really had in the whole thing. Some of them have ego issues where they wanted to be the big head honcho, and they were battling, bumping heads with somebody else feeling the same way. You have some people that didn't want to be a part of it at all, and they were some of the most important pieces to the puzzle. You're right, man. That's a good analogy, because we often don't realize that we do have superpowers and that we are capable of great things, even if it's just helping somebody. Again, talking about, bring it back to what we were talking about in the beginning, and talking about our expectations of our days. We often get depressed or derailed a little bit mentally or emotionally when when we had a plan for our lives and that doesn't go the way or it isn't going the way that we thought it would go. We get that little bit of bitterness and resentment, not focusing on the fact that this is that point of the movie where you're getting that resistance. You're seeing that you're not you haven't pushed through yet. You haven't really shown your worth. You haven't worked out your superpowers, or you haven't even found them yet, and you got to get to that point. You do have value to you. Every single person on this earth does. It may not be what you thought it would be. It may not be what you wanted it to be. You wanted to be a basketball player for the majority of your life, almost your entire life, right? Of your adult life. At least you wanted to be a basketball player, but maybe that wasn't your calling. Maybe your calling was to get your experience from basketball and then be able to hand that off to somebody else, blow it up that much more, give it to somebody else, and then they're the ones that move on. And
Man, you're talking
you never
about
know.
God's work right now. You're talking about God's work right now, bro, because that's heavy, 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 heavy. Listen to what he said, y'all. Rewind it, play it back, do something, because but that's it. And I lived, my transition from basketball to now was so heavy because of that. It was so dark because of that. I didn't have God in my life long enough to understand that tangent, I got to write that down. But he is the writer, the producer of our stories, right? The things that we go through in our life are to prepare us for the superhero or superpower that he has been gifted to us. Gosh, now I need to start writing stuff down, because I'm like all over the place. Lost my train of thought again. Talking about how he puts everything together, play it back. Everything happens for a reason, and I believe that 1,000%. And I think that if we can all understand that everything is to build us up, only if we're seeking it, right? We have to be on this path of self-development first, but in order to achieve, what we're trying to achieve. And everything is to mold us into what we're destined to be and what we're called to be. And I believe that 100%. Mind blowing. That's how it works. This just, again, and this God just putting all of this together of like, your life is happening for a reason, but it's happening for a better cause than what you think it is, right? For what most people think it is. And it's just like you said
before, we tend to have that, oh, this is happening to me mentality, as opposed to this is happening for you. This is, again, getting back to what we were talking about at the beginning, seeking opportunity, or at least leaving myself open to receive opportunity as it comes to me, and being ready for it, whatever it is, having my eyes open for it. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what opportunity looks like in whatever form that it's going to come in, because again, there's opportunity in everything that we're doing, right? But if you don't have that mindset to be aware that there is opportunity in everything that we're doing, you're never going to get that opportunity. You're never going to see it. You're never going to seek it. It's never going to fall into you, in front of you like that for you to do something with it. So you have to put yourself in the position to seize opportunity as it arises and see where it takes you.
Absolutely.
We have no idea.
Man, but oh my goodness, man. Yes. The mind-blowing emoji. My goodness. Because I was listening to something, and a lot of us feel like we don't get an opportunity to prove ourselves. But I think we get a lot of opportunities.
In the way that we wanted to do it.
Exactly.
Because again, we get that pre-existing plan of whatever we think is going to happen and how we see it happening. And it doesn't go that way. And then we get angry or let down, depressed, or whatever it is. And we let that affect us going forward. What can I take away from this? What was there? I gained something from this, whether it's experience. It's always experience and knowledge, right? We just got to, again, be ready to take away from it. Seeking opportunity and being ready to, grab the bull by the horns, right?
But oh my goodness, God is blowing my mind right now. But that's key. The opportunities arise, but we're not prepared to tackle it. We're not prepared to take it. And I had a perfect example is my first year after France. I had a little bit of a knee problem at the end, but I wasn't. It was one of my worst years mentally, right? And so I wasn't doing everything. I mean, through my whole career, I wasn't doing everything I could have done to be a better basketball player. Anyways, the end of the season comes. I ended up going up to Pro A, which was good, but my knee was hurt. And so I had an opportunity to better myself in a position that I wasn't ready for it entirely because I wasn't ready physically, right? A month later after the season, I get a call from my buddy, and he's like, man, it was Jimmer Fredette. I'm not sure if you know who Jimmer Fredette is. He went to BYU. He played in the league a little bit, played in China for a lot. Well-established basketball player. But his brother hits me up and was like, man, I have a spot for you in the TBT, right? Which is the basketball tournament, the popular basketball tournament that takes place in the summer. And it's showcased all over the world. And so and you win a big prize at the end of the tournament, the last person, whoever wins. But I had an opportunity to play in the TBT, but I wasn't ready for it. My knee was hurt, so I had to deny the offer, right? And that wasn't the first time something like that has happened. So opportunities arise. Opportunities are in front of our face. We're just either one, not willing to take it, or two, not ready to take it. And I think that's important to understand, because opportunities pop up all the time, but we're not in. For my sake, I wasn't in good enough shape, or I wasn't skilled enough, or somebody wasn't skilled enough, which depending on what the job was or the task was. And so it's not about the opportunities not being present. It's about being aware of the opportunities and being ready, just as you said.
That's it. Yep, that's it.
Because I even had it written down. You took it out of my head, bro. I had opportunities. I was like, because we're not ready for them, and that's what it is. And then we're pointing the finger and blaming everyone else, for why we're upset. I think that there's two types of failures. I think there's a failure to execute your purpose or to try and find your purpose. And then there's failure as to the mistakes that you make when executing the purpose. I feel like there's two different types of failures: a good failure and a bad failure. Failure, when we're trying to accomplish our goals, succeed. We're trying to build a business, and we're trying to better ourselves. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be failures on the way, but you're going to be falling forward, getting back up a little bit stronger,
Right.
versus the failure of not doing anything at all. You know, the failure of being like, okay, well, I'm just going to work this job that makes me upset on a daily basis. And what's crazy is that we're so comfortable with being average, being mediocre, going to work with that boss, and we're unhappy with doing that, yet we'd rather do that than go through the fires and the hardships of being free, of being our own boss, of owning our own businesses. I think it's a crazy thought, because either way, you're either, I mean, Jim Carrey said it best, and I told you about that before. You know, life is going to throw the obstacle. Life, you're going to fail regardless of whether you're doing what you love or doing what you hate. So you might as well fail trying to do what you love, because either way you're going to be upset. Either way you're not going to be happy.
Yep.
So why not be unhappy while trying to get happy versus being unhappy on the path of being unhappy?
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You know what that path leads to.
Exactly.
You know that path doesn't lead to happiness.
It doesn't.
But this one might.
Maybe.
I know this one doesn't, but this one might.
Right.
And so,
but we don't want to go through that hard work. We don't want to go through the work that it takes to obtain that happiness. So we sit here and be unhappy.
In our little unhappy island, just watching all these cruise ships go by around the island and shit.
Unhappy
We're not
island.
waving anybody down to come save us. We're just flipping them off, angry at them and stuff.
Exactly.
And they're like, all right, well, I'm not saving that person. You know what I mean?
Title of the episode: Unhappy Island. Oh my goodness! Get off that island. Right.
Get off unhappy island, man. Throw a lifeline. You know, try to do what you can. You know, you got the tools. We just, you know, don't know how to use them, or we don't want to use them. Like you said, we're lazy, or, you know, whatever the case is. You know, we have more power than we think we do. You know, we have a lot more power than we allow ourselves to have sometimes. You know, and again, it starts, like you said, it starts with your mindset. You got to first believe that you're capable of more, that you're meant for more, that you deserve more. And that's where it starts. Once you start that process, then you start the process of, how do I get there? How do I get more? How do I obtain it? You know, what are the steps that I need to take? That's the B through Y.
Yeah.
Again, you know, we're standing at A, and we're standing at the front, and we know what A looks like, but we really focus on, you know, what we want at Z, and we completely ignore the rest, or we look at all the rest and we get overwhelmed and we just don't do it. B through Y is the important stuff, man. That's the stuff that is really the building of the character.
I love that. B through Y is it.
That's
B through Y. Man. And you cannot get to Y without going to get into C. You know? Like, and that's
B,
right.
C, D,
right.
You know, the whole thing. You got to do that whole thing. And that correlates with the milestones that we talked about, setting milestones for yourself. Again, you know, we could probably tie all the episodes together into this one, because that's what it's all about, is, you know, that self-awareness to get better. You know, like they say with you know, addictions or whatever like that, you first have to admit that you have a problem.
Right.
That's that first step. You first have to admit that you need help, or you want more, or whatever it is. You have to be real with yourself, and bring it back to the last episode, being honest with what you see in the mirror. What parts about yourself that you dislike or want to improve, or whatever the case is, and start working on that. But you have to be honest with it. You can't, you know, this is just an example, but you can't be, all right, I'll use myself as an example. I can't be skinny and saying that I'm not skinny, that I'm muscular, that I'm big, I'm yoked, I'm jacked, I'm buff. You know what I mean? No. Just because I want that, you know what I mean? Just because I want to be bigger doesn't make me bigger.
Right.
I have to work out. I have to do the proper things in order to get there, to get what I want. That's what I'm focusing on right now. Metaphorically and literally, I'm focusing on, getting bigger in life, getting bigger physically, getting bigger mentally. That's what I want to do. That's where I'm at, and I want to not just do that for myself. If I can help other people do that too, that's why I'm here. That's why the podcast exists.
Yeah.
To not just have, not to just work on my own problems. I can do that on my own, but to put myself out there for other people to realize, one, that they're not alone in problems that they have, two, that there's somebody else out there that has issues and that they're trying to work on those things, three, that we could do that together. I could be, or we could be, that platform for people, that beacon of light, like we said before, to allow people, hey, over here, this is that safe zone. This is where we're coming to work on anything and everything that we have going on in our lives. That's what it's all about. Bettering ourselves and helping others better themselves too.
Absolutely.
But it starts with you, right? Again, bringing it back. It starts with you. It starts with your
Yes.
mindset. You have to be willing to change for the better, and it starts with yourself. You got to start there, man.
Yeah, there was a couple of things that I've been hearing, and one of them is if you're not growing, you're dying. You know what I'm saying? If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. And it's like, I'll never forget Steve Fisher. I think I've said this on before. He said, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Even if you're at a standstill, because time moves forward, you're standing still, and it's almost like you're at a train station and you're standing still, but all the trains are passing by. Right? Time is moving forward. So if you're standing still, in contrast, you're moving backwards. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
right.
I like
you
that.
like you have to be moving forward, and that's why when we get older, and I tell this to everyone in fitness, age is a representation of how much time we've been on this earth. Age is a representation of how much time and usage we've had on our muscles, and how much time we've took to beat them up, or to grow it, or to beat it up. Because like you said, right, if it's not growing, it's dying. So if you're not in the gym building your muscles up, what's going to happen to them if you're doing nothing with them? Right? They're going to get weakened. They're going to deteriorate, and then now we're going to be stiff. They're not going to, because if you don't use it, you lose it. Right? Right?
100%. 100%.
So I've seen people in the gym at 77, 80 years old moving, and I see the complete opposite. And it's
Bro, I
like,
was just having this conversation this morning with my stepson. I was telling him, I've known people in their like late 70s, early 80s, like my grandmother, my dad's mom. She after my grandfather died, like she practically mentally gave up anyways. Like so it was a slow deterioration. But once she got to like her late 70s, her early 80s, she physically was just like, I'm not doing it anymore. She was supposed to have exercises and stuff that her doctors were giving her, and she just wasn't doing it. Her body gave up, and eventually got to the point where she was bedridden for the last little bit of her life. And she was early 80s, something like that, but you would have thought that she was like 102, right? When I used to work at this grocery store, there was this lady that came in every single morning, like pretty much without fail. She was there every single morning, and she would walk around the entire store, talk to people as she was walking around, just small talk here and there. She would tell them about things. I believe she was a widow. She would walk around the entire store talking to everybody, maybe even do a couple laps. Rarely ever bought anything. If she did, it was just a few little, little knick-knacky things, little onesie-twosie things here and there. And then she would go home or go about her day, go work in the garden, whatever she did. I found out one day that lady was 98 years old. And you would have thought, she looked older, but as far as how she moved
right.
and how she spoke, the way she spoke to you, the things, like, she was sharp as a tack. She was still there. You know what I mean? Her cognitive function
was because she kept
functional.
on right. But that's
You know
what
I mean?
happens,
So
and that's
it was
why
physically moving her body.
Yeah.
and verbally having conversations with people every single day about different things. It wasn't like repetitive conversations. She kept her mind active. She kept her body active. And I don't know how long she lived till, but she was there until I stopped working there. She was 98 years old at one point. And I was in my early 20s or my late 20s, I think, at the time. And I remember thinking immediately, like, I need to start moving, because I already feel like I wouldn't be able to keep up with her, and she's 98 years old.
Facts.
I need to start moving, right? So that was something for me that, I have to be active. I've been an active person my whole life. Why would I stop now? Simply because I've reached quote unquote hardships in my life. You know, these excuses that I use to not continue to be the type of person that I've always been. That's an active, happy, social person that likes to have fun. If I'm not able to do that because of work or whatever, why am I not doing that away from work? Right. Why am I not taking the time that I have for myself to continue to do things that make me happy, set my soul on fire, and find purpose in, right?
Man, because
whatever
look,
it is.
Because look, I mean, think about, and everyone has a different story. Everyone has a different path. But they call it the bill of regret, right? You look at older people, and some older people, and they're bitter. And you think about, we talked about this before, you think about why people regret their past, right? And it's because they didn't do everything they could while they were active enough to try and be better when they had the time. And so now, then that's where, oh my goodness, this is like the tangents to keep on rolling out.
I know.
Because it's the time, right? We don't have a clear awareness on time. For some reason, we all think that we're going to live forever, and that's not going to happen. And so
like we have this spare makeup time being stocked up somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, I wasn't able to do what I wanted today, so I'll do it tomorrow.
Exactly.
And then tomorrow comes and something else happens, and you just keep pushing it off. When are you thinking that you're going to get back all of that time that you weren't able to do it? You know what I mean?
By the time
you have to seize the day. You have to be ready to take control of the opportunity as it arises.
For me, time.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, time.
That's it.
Time in so many different fashions, right? And so when we get to a certain age to where health problems start to kick in, God forbid, and then now we have this new lens and perspective on life, and now it's like, okay, well, maybe I'm not going to live forever, right? Not maybe, and then now you start thinking about everything that happened in the past and what you could have done better. And even as a basketball player, now I do that in the 12 years that I played basketball. And what's the typical cliche saying? If I could go back and do it over again, right? When you have a chance to do it now.
Man, I wish I could do that again. I would do it right. And
exactly. Right?
And so that's that, right.
And it's that bill of regret. And as crazy is that we'd rather be in the pain of our situation rather than going through the pain of being free. It's like we'd rather be hurt, stiff, and like unable to move versus going through
it's comfortable.
Right.
It's a known comfort, or whatever it is. At least it's a known pain. Like we said, this is something that isn't foreign to me. But that pain of growth, that pain of learning something new, that pain of obtaining more is foreign to us. So we're not going to seize it. We're not going to go
exactly.
After it.
And I was actually
for me, it's like I'm at a point where it's like pain is pain. As long as it brings comfort, or gives me growth or whatever it is, like bring that on, man.
Bring that on.
And maybe getting tattoos is what sparked that, and I didn't even realize it at the time, because I don't care what anybody says, getting a tattoo hurts.
It hurts.
Just hurts a little less somewhere in some places than it does others, but it hurts. It's just a tolerable pain. You are able to tolerate that pain because you're looking forward to what comes at the end of it.
That is mind blowing. I love that analogy because
right?
Because that is how true is that though, but that's the issue though. But that's why we don't go through that pain, is because we don't know what the outcome is going to be.
Right. Somebody walks up, you're not even expecting it. Somebody walks up and pinches your arm. You're like, ah, damn, what the hell? Why would you do that? You get angry at them. You weren't expecting it.
Right.
Right? But did that hurt more than somebody tattooing you for hours? No.
Right. Yo, that's heavy to think. That's something to think about. Like, because otherwise, if we knew success was at the end of the tunnel, and it's inevitable. You know, we talked about it. It's just a matter of time, right? If we're talking about time, okay? Because the thing is, time is going to come. The end is going to come, right? 2 years from now, we want to be at a certain goal weight. I like to use fitness because obviously I'm in fitness, right? 2 years from now, we want to be at a certain goal weight, right? And we don't want to go through what we need to go through during those 2 years to get to that goal weight. But guess what? In those 2 years, that 2 years is going to come, right? So, now that 2 years comes, and it's like, damn, man, if I would have done this 2 years ago, I would have already been here, right? So this is what we talked about, of looking at time.
2 years of growth or 2 years of excuses.
Exactly. That's heavy, because time is going to come. And if we're working on what we need to work on, as far as our goals, our purpose in life, it's inevitable we're going to accomplish those goals as long as we don't quit. Because that's how time works. That's how, the principles of this world works. But if we get to we get to C, right? We get to letter D, and we quit because it got a little too difficult. And so, oh man, I loved all of this. There's no retiring, and that's why people who do retire, that's why when people do retire, they start wasting away. Not only that, cognitively, but they're not happy because they're not doing anything anymore, right? They're not.
There's no purpose.
There's no purpose.
Self-fulfillment.
There's no self-fulfillment. And I'm repeating you like Colossus of Cloud, because that's how important it is.
Colossus of Cloud,
right? But that is so true, because there can't be an end goal. There has to be forever growth until God takes us. Otherwise, we're not going to be fulfilled.
Or he'll take you a lot sooner. Right.
Because God, if he can't use you...
Or the other one will take you a lot sooner.
Yeah, I mean, if he can't use you, I mean...
Right.
If you don't believe, those negative thoughts and emotions are destructive, That's heavy. Whew. That's heavy.
This was a good one, man.
This was.
I'm going to have to reel it in, because I could keep going, too.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, oh, my goodness. So, the tangents are real.
Yeah. So, again, this is why this is important, to have these conversations, to do this podcast. We can continue doing this all day and night ourselves, but we encourage those that are listening to reach out to us, jump on board with us, have these type of conversations, get this type of growth that we're getting, get this type of release that we're getting from the mental warfares that we have on a daily basis. And like Vaca said, work on those micro healings, because the micro fractures are going to happen regardless. And if you don't take care of it, man, sooner or later it's going to be a clean break.
Yeah.
And that's
harder to recover from.
So, exactly.
Let us know what you're struggling with. We're all struggling with something. Otherwise, we'd all be perfect. It's not reality. There are certain principles and certain behaviors and habits in life that are required to be happy, right? And so in order to be happy, we have to fix those microfractures, right? We have to address it, figure out how to heal it so we can heal it and move on to the next thing. Let us know what you're struggling with. Let us know how can we help. We're here to resolve problems, right? We're all having these issues. We're all growing. And that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to grow. We're trying to be happy. We're trying to connect, and we're trying to build. And when we're fulfilling our purpose, then ultimately we're happy.
That's it. Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate
Looking forward
you.
to the next one. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next time.
All right.